What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. 2.4 beta dropped yesterday, and boy oh boy do we have a lot to talk about. I'm just going to preface this by saying save up for 2.4 please. But if you decide to summon for Yun Li, or you're going to summon for Zhao Q, or if you just want to stock up on Stellar Jades, check out our friends over at lubar.gg. Once you click the link in the description, you're going to be in this page. Here you're going to select your game. They have Genshin Impact, Honkai Star, and Zone Zero. Right now they have a 14% savings on Honkai Star, but you can save up to 20% on lubar.gg. Once you're in this page, you're going to have to verify that your UIDs match. So right here, my UID matches the one right here. Let's just go ahead and verify that I don't have any Oneric shards. Right there it says 0 Oneric shards. I'm going to click my pack, click top up now, continue to purchase. Obviously, I'm going to blur out my payment information. And then right there, we're going to click order details. It says payment completed, so that should be it. And now let's see how fast do we get him in game. It says 0. Oh, there we go. It didn't even take a minute. It didn't even take 1 minute, guys. So there it is, lubar.gg, very fast, very reliable. So go ahead, check out our friends over at lubar.gg, link in the description below. All right, we're gonna start with a revision of her kit because the kit that we had from the previous leaks was not true at all, was not right at all. Her basic attack is gonna deal 100% wind damage, 30% break, and 20 energy. Our skill does a 240 wind damage to a single enemy and advances FeiXiao's action by 10%. 240 is pretty good. It's a very significant amount of damage. Obviously 30 energy and 60 break. Now for her ult, which is her bread and butter, she's going to deal 840 up to 80% of her attack to a single target enemy. Obviously this counts as wind damage. Attack produces toughness regardless of the enemy's weakness. They continue this trend to where they give the DPSs a way of dealing toughness damage regardless of the enemy's weakness, by either implanting a weakness or just by straight up giving them this line of code right here. If the target is not weakness broken, increase the break efficiency by 100%. This is insane. So essentially she just gives herself double the break efficiency when they're not broken. That's pretty self-explanatory, which also stacks up with characters like Ruan Mei, for example. During the attack, launch Blitz or War Axe. We're going to go over what Blitz and War Axe are multiple times until Flying Auras is depleted. After that, for every Flying Aura consumed, deals 10% damage to the enemy. If the enemy is weakness broken, increase the damage multiplier by 15%. After hit number 6, if the target HP is 0, reserve the remaining Flying Aura and launch the final hit. So how our ult is going to work, you're going to trigger her ult. Is going to have 2 charges, which we're going to cover a little bit later. It's going to have 2 charges, and the charges stack up kind of like Acheron, where she, per every second attack that your team performs, she's going to gain 1 stack, and once she gets up to 6, the ultimate is going to unlock itself, and you can store up to 12. This hit right here is going to launch after the 6th hit when the enemy's HP reaches 0. So if you kill the enemy, you won't waste stacks past 6. Now the 2 attacks are named Blitz and War Axe. While she's in her ult, she has access to these 2 different types of attack. They replace the basic button and the skill button, but both attacks are essentially the same exact attack. The only difference is that Blitz deals more damage if the enemy is weakness broken, and War Axe deals more damage if the enemy is not weakness broken. Now this ultimate right here has probably the highest weakness break efficiency or toughness damage in the entire game, because each of these attacks deals 15 toughness and you can launch up to 12. But now remember that she doubles her own break efficiency by 100%. So essentially each of these ticks does 30 damage. So 30 times 12, it's 360 weakness break efficiency or toughness damage. And this is without Ruan Mei. So yeah, this is by far the highest toughness damage we have in the game as of right now. I think Boot max is about 225, and this is with Ruan Mei. So the fact that Ruan Mei can make this even more, it's actually insane. But even though she has this massive break capability, she doesn't have anything that scales off break, which is kind of disappointing. I kind of wanted her to have some sort of break mechanic, but the only thing she has is that she deals more damage when the enemies are broken, but she deals the exact same damage multiplier increase when they're not broken. So I mean, it is what it is. All this to say that she's going to have a really easy time breaking the enemy's toughness, and since she doesn't care what their weakness is, it's just great for that. Moving on to her talent. Her talent can be activated when the stacks reach 6 up to 12. Gain one stack every 2 attacks used by allies. Attacks by FeiXiao's ult do not count. That's pretty self-explanatory. So this right here tells you that you want to run her in a follow-up attack team, or a team that launches frequent follow-up attacks, or just attacks, frequent attacks. equals more stacks. After an ally uses an attack, launch a follow-up attack towards the main target, dealing 200% of damage to enemy. If there's no primary target, attack a random target. This trigger once per turn and resets at the start of FeiXiao's turn. So this is essentially the same thing that Kafka has, or the same thing that like E6 Bronya has, that whenever you attack somebody, they will launch a follow-up attack once per turn. And essentially what this does is that it gives her a free stack on the first basic attack. Because like if she takes her turn, right, and then the next ally does a hit, she's going to launch a follow-up attack, being the second hit, gaining her a free stack. That's pretty much what that is. All right, her tech: trigger on rush, stay for 20 seconds. While on rush, pull enemies within range, increase speed by 35% and gain 1 stack. Attacking enemies deal 200% damage at the start of each wave and is guaranteed to crit. Increase the multiplier of this attack by 100% per each enemy pulled, up to 1000. So you could pull up to 10 enemies. I don't know where you would pull 10 enemies, honestly. But this essentially makes it to where you can just pretty much one-shot mob or trash mobs. She's a pretty good farmer, like overworld farmer, because you can just group them up, hit them, and they're just all gonna die because it's guaranteed crit. That's pretty much what this is. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some sort of simulated universe use for this, but you know, it is what it is. First race receives 4 stacks at the start of battle. If there are no other teammates alive in battle or on the field at the start of turn, gain 1 stack. So essentially with the 4 stacks here and then the 1 stack that she gains here, she's already going to start off the fight with 5. And then with 2 teammates hitting the enemy, you're going to be able to launch your ultimate. So this is essentially why I said that you're going to be able to launch your ultimate turn 1 in a follow-up attack team. The next one, ultimate, is considered as launching a follow-up attack. It doesn't say it counts as follow-up attack damage. It just says ultimate damage is considered as launching a follow-up attack, meaning that each attack is its own thing. Out of the 6 or 12 ticks, each attack is considered its own thing. And then the last one, follow-up attack damage, crit damage increased by 60%, which is really, really nice. As far as her stats and traces, she is very particular in the sense that she comes out the box with 125 speed, and she gets an extra 5 speed from her traces, making her the fastest character we have by a landslide. She's at base 130, which means that you only need a few rolls to get her past 134. And if you want to make her even faster, you can just throw in speed boost and she'll be at like 160 speed very, very easily. Aside from that, she gets 20% attack and 19 or almost 12% crit rate. This is one of the best trace packages that I've seen ever, pretty much. I don't think there's one that's better in my opinion. I'd have to look, but this is a very, very strong trace stat package. All right, moving on to the actual calcs is what we're here for. The build that I'm going to go with is going to be the new Valorous set and the Durand set. I'm pretty sure these sets were made for her. I was talking to my buddies yesterday and I said that they probably just gave Firefly and FeiXiao their sets in the last patch, and this is pretty much her set because like nobody else can use this set as well as she can. It's pretty much tailor-made for her. And obviously because we don't have another like better free-to-play Lycone, maybe Swordplay, but we're going to go with Cruising the Stellar Sea because we can get up to 32% crit rate and we get 40% attack just by killing stuff, and she will have an easy time killing stuff. The Valorous set is going to give you 12% attack and increase crit rate by 6%, and after the warriors they follow-up attack, your ultimate is going to deal 36% more damage. And since she's always going to launch that follow-up attack on the first hit after her turn ends, she's always going to have that ultimate damage ready to go. It's a guarantee that every time she ults, she's going to have that ultimate damage. And also her ultimate also counts as follow-up attack, so the ultimate itself will trigger the Valorous set. And then the Durand set is going to give her 25% damage bonus and 25% crit damage extra when it finishes stacking. And because she launches follow-up attacks in her ult, she launches a minimum of 6. One ultimate will be able to stack this fully. So if you do the big hit 12 ultimate nuke, then later from hit 6 to hit 12, you're going to have the full-on buff from Durand, and then from there on out, this doesn't go away ever, so you're just going to have 25% crit damage and then 25% damage bonus, which are added right here and then added right here. Let's go over her attack. She's a 601 base attack with a 529 base attack from the light cone. She gets herself 28% from traces. We are running a crit rate chest with the speed boots and a damage orb, so that's why there's 0 on all of these. Attack rope for sure because she doesn't need an energy regen rope because she doesn't use energy. Hands 352, subs 14. Relics 12% from the Valora set as I discussed, and then the Light Cone gives you 40% attack when you kill something. We can pretty much ignore the damage sources here because all we have is the damage orb, but I have her at 70 over 175, 100%, 150% from the build, and an extra 25% from the Duran set. As far as damage bonuses go, we just have the orb as previously mentioned, and the 25% extra damage on follow-up. It's actually here in the formula. G23 is damage bonus plus the 25% from the Duran set. Same thing goes for the ultimate. It's also here right there. Now her kit also gives herself 60% crit damage on follow-ups, and that is actually right here on the formula table as well. Now let's take a look at her damage as of right now. Her basic is hitting for about 3k. Enhanced, well, there's no enhanced basic. This is the skill actually. This is the skill, not enhanced basic. I'm sorry guys. So her skill is hitting by about 11k. Follow-up attack hitting a little bit less. Remember that the follow-up attack is 200% multiplier. Ultimate is 800 and 840% multiplier, hitting for 56k. And then with the 12 hit, you're hitting for about 112,000. This is just Zhao Q by herself with a free-to-play light cone. Nothing crazy. Now, since she is a follow-up attacker, her main partner in crime is going to be Topaz and Numbi. At E0, Topaz and Numbi just gives you a 50% vulnerability debuff, which we can put right there. And that jumps our damage by 50% because vulnerability, that's just how it works to give you 50% damage bonus. So the 6 hit is going to hit for about 84k, and then the 12 hit is going to hit by 170, just about. So that's pretty good. She has a second, she has a second Topaz, and that is E6 Mosey, or Mose, whatever you want to call them. That's actually a really cracked unit, which I'm going to discuss in its own video, but essentially cheap or poor man's Topaz. And actually E6 Mosey it's actually better than just E0 S0 Topaz. So we're going to add Mosey into the fray because we need as many follow-up attackers as we can get. So E6 Mose gives you 40% crit damage bonus and 25% vulnerability. So we can actually bump this up to 175, and then we can add 40% crit damage onto here, which brings this up to 65%. All right, now our follow-up attack is hitting for about 21k. Ultimate damage is hitting for about 109k, and then the ultimate with 12 hits is hitting for about 218k. And this is just them two. And the buffs are not directed because all these are because of marks or because of proof of debt and all that stuff. So these are not direct buffs to FeiXiao, or more, those are more like debuffs on enemies. And then obviously the sustain of choice is probably going to end up being Aventurine, and Aventurine just gives you an extra 15% damage, which brings this up to 80% crit damage on the debuff. And then our damage goes up by 113 and then 226. Now let's say we want to add the S1 to Topaz. This gives us an extra 24% extra crit damage, which would bring this up to 104 crit damage, which brings our damage to about 240 when you have the 12 hit. And then to be honest, this really isn't cutting it for me. Like I don't think this damage is actually too high, especially with all these buffs we had. So maybe we can replace Mosey. So let's go ahead and remove 40% crit damage. So let's bring this back down to 64 because we still have the S1 Topaz. And then let's go ahead and remove the 25% vulnerability. And then let's replace this with Sparkle. So Sparkle is going to give a 50% attack buff, 88% crit damage. So let's add 88% to this. And then she's going to give us about 48% damage bonus, 48.8% damage bonus. Okay, as we can see, the damage is almost at 300k, 140k for the 6 hit, and 100 and 200 and almost 300,000 for the big 12 hit. Okay, I mean, still the damage is respectable, but nothing crazy. Her damage doesn't seem to be scaling that well, especially with the teams that she is required to run. And this is going to be my main gripe with FeiXiao. And to remind you guys, this is just version 1 of FeiXiao. She's probably going to end up changing, and I'm pretty sure she needs to change because she feels a bit underwhelming. I mean, I did see her do 1 million damage already, but this was with like cracked out supports. So with free-to-play supports, I don't know, she seems a little bit underwhelming on my end. Let's see if we can get these damage numbers up a little bit. Let's see if we replace Topaz and Numbi for Ruanmei, right? So Ruanmei is going to give you an extra 68% damage bonus, making this a 117% damage bonus. And then she's going to give you a res pen of 25%. And then here your damage goes up to about 350k. I mean, it only goes up by about, I don't know, like 7%. It's really not that much of a difference replacing Topaz and Nubi with Ruan Mei, but let's put her back in there, right? And then let's take away Sparkle. Put this back on 69, and then let's take away some of that crit damage. Yeah, so even with just Ruan Mei and Topaz, you're still around 313k. She is wearing a free-to-play light cone, and this is pretty much like a very much a free-to-play setup. But let's say we're going to swap this over to her actual S1. Her S1 has 635 base attack, and let's remove this really quick. Gets 15% crit rate, so it will be one less crit rate here, but she does get 56% defense reduction for free. So that will pretty much give her, it seems to me, like a 25% damage increase just by that. And remember, we're just running Topaz and Numbi and I think Ruan Mei in this scenario. I do think Sparkle will probably end up being better than Ruan Mei because she already has so much toughness damage that I think giving her extra turns would probably end up being better. So I just go ahead and put Sparkle back in here. Yeah, I think this would probably end up being better, even though it's less overall damage. I think this will probably end up being better because you get more turns with Sparkle, right? So even if you have her S1, her damage, like, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that high, even though she has some crazy multipliers. The reason being is that her team requirement is very specific. You need a follow-up attack team. That's pretty much what it is. As of right now, she looks to be another follow-up attack oriented character, but she's pretty much like an Acheron follow-up attacker. You know, like she stacks off. Instead of debuffs, you want to stack follow-up attacks or hits. She's probably going to be slotted into a team where Robin is also. Robin is a great character for her because you get a bunch of attack and then you also get a bunch of damage bonus as well as the action advance from her ultimate and the extra damage dealt at the tail end of it. Obviously, if you're going to go sustainless, which I don't think most people are going to end up going sustainless, and I don't think you even want to go sustainless because Aventurine actually adds a lot of hits, allowing her to fire off more ultimates more frequently. So I don't know, she has the highest multipliers in the game, honestly, but the way that her team has to be set up doesn't allow us to really enhance that damage too much. But this is only version 1, as I said, guys. She is probably going to end up being changed at some point, and hopefully for the better. Maybe give her a way to stack a little bit faster, or maybe just give her something to increase her overall damage, because right now the character that she needs to stack her ultimate does not allow her to deal that much more damage. The only one that actually does that is going to be either Topaz and Mosey, but even then she has one slot to buff herself. If she has Topaz in her team, she also needs that one slot to be a hitter, somebody that hits. But we'll see. She's gonna end up changing, like I said before. Let me know what you guys think about FeiXiao. I'm gonna do videos on Mosey and I'm gonna do videos on Linsha. Those are coming up on the channel as well. So stay tuned. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And until next time, guys. See ya.